You're carrying dead weight right now, and it's stealing your peace without making a sound. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to cut, starting today, to get your life back. 3 simple moves. Cut the weight. Reclaim your energy. Watch everything change. Most people think they need to add more to their lives to feel better. More habits, more routines, more stuff. But the real transformation happens when you start removing things. And I'm not talking about your junk drawer. I'm talking about the invisible stuff that's been draining you for years. Stick with me because the last thing I'm going to show you, it might be the only thing standing between you and the life you actually want. Let's start with the big one, the disease that's probably running your life right now. Saying yes when everything in you is screaming no. You agree to help someone for the 5th time this month while your own goals collect dust. And why? Because you're terrified someone might call you selfish. Here's the truth. That's not kindness. That's self-betrayal. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're teaching people that your time doesn't matter. You're training them to see you as the backup plan, the free therapist, the person who'll drop everything. People-pleasing doesn't make you nice, it makes you exhausted. You end up resenting the very people you're trying to please because deep down you know you're abandoning yourself. So start saying no. Just the word. No explanation, no 10-minute apology, just no. Yeah, some people will be shocked. They might even call you rude. Let them. Those are the same people who were perfectly fine watching you drown as long as it benefited them. The people who actually matter, they'll respect your boundaries, and you'll finally start breathing again. Now let's talk about the mental trap that keeps you scrolling until 2 a.m. feeling worse about yourself. Every time you open social media, you're poisoning yourself. You're comparing your messy Monday morning to someone else's highlight reel from their best day of the year. That entrepreneur flexing their new car? You don't see them sleeping on their friend's couch. The fitness person with perfect abs? You don't see the angles, the lighting, the 12 takes it took. Comparison convinces you that you're behind, that you're failing, that everyone else has it figured out except you. Which is wild because half those people feel the exact same way about someone else. So quietly unfollow, mute, detach. If someone's content makes you feel like garbage, they don't deserve space in your head. Your path is your path. The only person you should compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. All right, if your brain just went, oh yeah, I do that, tap that like button. Not for me. For your future self who's going to thank you for watching this. This next one is costing you hours every week and you think it's productivity. You think you have to respond to every text in 30 seconds. You think every email marked urgent actually is. Wrong. People trained you to be available like a customer service hotline, and you fell for it. But 90% of urgent things fix themselves if you just wait. That text that needs an immediate response, it can wait 20 minutes. That friend who needs to talk right now, they'll survive if you call them back in an hour. You're not a doctor on call. You're a person who deserves to finish a meal, finish a thought, finish your own work without 17 interruptions. So turn off notifications. Set specific times to check messages. Let people know you're not available every second. The real emergencies will still reach you. Everything else can wait. Next up, the stuff you can't see, but it's louder than a rock concert in your brain. Mental clutter. You've got dozens of tabs open. Apps you haven't touched in months. Notifications dinging every 5 seconds. Every unfinished task, every open loop, every piece of digital noise is taking up space in your mind, and your brain treats all of it like it's urgent, even when it's not. The more clutter you keep, the more your brain thinks life is chaos. You can't think clearly when you're drowning in stuff. So start deleting, close those tabs, delete those apps. Turn off notifications for anything that isn't actually important. The clearer your environment, the clearer your thinking. Okay, stick with me, because that last part I mentioned, that's coming up soon, and it's honestly like finding a cheat code you didn't know existed. Here's one that feels productive, but it's actually just fear wearing a disguise. Overthinking. Some of you could overthink tying your shoes. Stop. Overthinking doesn't solve problems, it multiplies them. It's your brain trying to protect you by planning for every possible outcome, but all it does is trap you in analysis paralysis. Here's the fix. Make faster decisions, especially on small things. What to wear? Pick something. Where to eat? Choose. Which task first? Just start. You're building a muscle. The more you practice making quick calls on little stuff, the easier it gets on big stuff. And yeah, sometimes you'll choose wrong. So what? Most decisions aren't permanent anyway. The goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. Here's another one that's just ego in disguise. The need to be right in every argument. Someone says the earth is flat? Let them plan their cruise off the edge. Every minute you spend arguing with people who aren't going to change their mind, is a minute you could have used building something that actually matters. You don't need to win every debate to be successful. You need to protect your peace. Being at peace beats being correct every single time. Now, this one should be obvious, but too many people still don't get it. Energy vampires. That friend who only texts when their life is falling apart but vanishes when you need support. The person who turns every conversation into a therapy session where you're the unpaid therapist. Cut them off. Not with a speech, not with drama, just quietly step back. I know what you're thinking, but what if they need me? Here's the hard truth. If they only show up when they need something, they don't actually value you. They value what you provide. You deserve people who show up for you the way you show up for them. Protect your energy like it's the most valuable thing you own. Here's one more before we get to the big one. The need to explain yourself to people who don't even matter. Why are you writing a 3-paragraph text about why you can't make it to a party? You don't owe anyone a PowerPoint presentation for your life choices. Explanations are currency. Save them for the people who've earned it. But that random acquaintance with opinions about your life? They don't pay your bills. They don't sleep in your bed. Make the decision and let your actions speak. And one more quick one. The someday mentality. I'll start that business when I'm ready. I'll work out when I have more time. Spoiler alert, you're never going to feel ready. Time isn't going to magically appear. Most people die with their best ideas still in their head because they waited for the perfect moment, and that moment never came. So kill that little voice that says wait and start now. Write the bad first draft. Do the sloppy workout. Messy progress beats perfect procrastination every time. Real question, which one of these are you guilty of right now? And be brutally honest, which one are you scared to cut because it feels too comfortable? Comment below because someone else might be struggling with the exact same thing. All right, here's the one that changes everything. The invisible story you walk around with that's keeping you stuck. You've got this narrative in your head. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm just unlucky. Bad things always happen to me. And every time something goes wrong, you add it to your mental highlight reel of proof. See, I told you. But here's the problem. If you keep narrating your life like a tragedy, you'll never live a victory. Yeah, life punched you in the mouth. Maybe more than once. But staying down is a choice. Every single day, you're either rehearsing your victim story or rewriting your comeback story. And I'm not saying ignore your pain or pretend bad things didn't happen. I'm saying stop letting those things define your future. You're not a victim of your circumstances, you're a product of your decisions. So quietly eliminate that habit of replaying your worst moments on repeat. Stop telling yourself you can't because of what someone did 5 years ago. Rewrite the script. From victim to builder. From stuck to unstoppable. This is the unlock. This separates people who rise from people who stay down. Your story isn't over, but you have to be the one holding the pen. All right, look, you made it to the end, which means you're serious. Subscribe because I make videos that'll actually move the needle, then hit that next video on your screen. Let's go.